Today on the channel, we're going to hang out and take a look at my hard rock and heavy metal collection on vinyl. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you my vinyl collection. I was looking for some new stuff to do for the channel, and I like vinyl. I think vinyl's cool. I'm not a huge collector. Most of these records I purchased within the last 15 years or so, back when vinyl was a little bit more affordable. You could go out and get records for like $3 or $4. Now you'll pay anywhere from $6 to $20 for a used record, and obviously most bands are putting out vinyl now because it's the only form of media that's really selling that you can hold in your hand. So I've got 4 sections over here for vinyl, and I love it because I've got these separated where this is my classic rock, got my Beatles, my Pink Floyd, my Led Zeppelin, ZZ Top, Cars, Foreigner, all the bands I grew up with in the late 70s and early 80s. Now, I was a teenager in the late 80s, so most of my influences come from the hair metal and 80s metal, because that's when I was coming of age. But I grew up listening to a lot of the classic rock records from my older brothers and sisters, so I love the classic rock stuff. This section's got a lot of 80s stuff that's not metal, but it's like Bruce Springsteen and Duran Duran, and a little 90s stuff sprinkled in there, like Green Day, Blink-182, bands that I liked that came out in the 90s, and some newer pop stuff. This section is kind of a crapshoot. This is a little bit of everything. You just really never know what you're going to get. This is, Saturday Night Fever by the Bee Gees. Then you might find some Christmas records in here, or who knows what. But this is primarily my metal section. So let's take a look at my metal records. Records are cool because, first of all, albums are printed on vinyl clearly, and the waveforms are, the way I understand it, the wave is bigger, and it allows for more dynamics, more bass, more just more clear tone. Digital are like steps, like stair steps, and there's missing pieces of those waves because it's ones and zeros, and this is the full wave format on records, and they sound great. So obviously my first few records, I'm going to go through this kind of quick. My first few records, I've got Van Halen 1. This is an original Van Halen 1. It's got the sleeve in there. Got to be careful, make sure I don't drop my records out of here. I remember once when I was in 3rd grade, one of my friends brought in a Cheap Trick Live at Budokan album for us to play in music class, and one of the kids picked up his record and it slid out of the sleeve and it landed on the hard school floor, and it took a big chip out of his record. It looked like a Pac-Man, and we weren't able to play Live at Budokan, and I always think about that when I move my records around. All right, so Van Halen 1. Great album cover. Let's see, we'll go through these Van Halen records. Everybody here's a Van Halen fan, I'm sure. Van Halen 2. We got this thing in pretty decent shape. Got the original sleeve here. I'm going to show you the sleeves for these, just because I tend to focus a lot on Van Halen on this channel. Then when we get into the other metal records in here, I can pick and choose which ones we go through. Van Halen 2. Probably my favorite song off of this record would probably have to be, I don't know, Somebody Get Me a Doctor, I guess. I think that's on Van Halen 2. Believe it or not. Then we got Fair Warning, Fair Warning. There's the Shark guitar. Got the big picture of the boys on the back. That's one nice thing about records, is you could sit, put the record on, and look at the album cover and just think about, what were these guys doing in the studio? And I wonder what Mikey's like. Man, he looks like the crazy one, or whatever. So you didn't have instant media like you have today. I mean, you know how it is. Fair Warning. There was no sleeve in that Women and Children First record. There's Fair Warning. And then this is what the jacket looked like for Fair Warning. Got the series feathered hairdos. I like this. And someone said, fair warning. Lord, strike that poor boy down. Yeah, that sleeve is a little bit rough shape, but I don't care, man. I don't buy records like I want them to be collectible or something. I play them, man, like my guitars. All right, next one up, Diver Down. That's a nice shape. I always thought that live picture on the back of Diver Down was the coolest. I would love a full poster of that for my wall. And then this one just has a sleeve like that. This probably is a repressing. Who knows what the inside sleeve looked like if they had a poster from the US Festival in there. Who knows? That might be original. And we got 84. 84. Right there. Got the boys on the back. A lot of you may not realize it, but this was the inside sleeve for 84. Great album through and through, obviously. My favorite song is probably Girl Gone Bad or House of Pain. 5150. I never was a fan of the 5150 album cover. I always kind of got grossed out with that, that sweaty bodybuilder on the front, but it doesn't bother me anymore. But I always thought, I think it's a cool album cover now. I mean, these guys are breaking out of the planet or the globe, whatever it is. And then this, we got to see the iconic Van Hagar logo on the inside, and then this one had lyrics. You could actually, they printed the lyrics on the sleeve for this. So that's cool. Back then you never knew what they were talking about unless they printed it in like Circus Magazine or something. OU 812. And that. Cool. Let's see if this one's got a sleeve. Does this one? Oh yeah, it's got a sleeve. This one's got, looks like this one's got lyrics on it too. And that's when we got this, When It's Love symbol. A lot of people don't care for OU 812. I really like that record. This one's hard to find. For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. This one's a hard one. I think this one had some water damage at some point because this album is like, it's got like these got like these things, man, unless it was in like a weird stack and got some humidity. But the album's in good shape. It plays just great. But this is kind of a hard record to find. The later you got in the 80s and especially in the early 90s, records just stopped being printed. So if you got a record from the early 90s and you hung on to it, that was those were keepers. So that's one reason For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge is hard to find. Now, Balance, I do not have. If you find Balance on vinyl, last I checked, I mean, I haven't checked in a long time, but last I checked, Balance was going for about $150 to $200 on vinyl, which is crazy because they didn't make very many of them. But collectors really want them. Then I managed to get A Different Kind of Truth on vinyl, and it's got all these lyrics. It's a double. They printed this on 180 grams, so there's two records, and the vinyl was red. But the pressing of this record sounds terrible. It was not pressed properly or something, but this record does not sound good. But this one is pretty collectible also due to the rareness of it. All right, we got David Lee Roth, Crazy from the Heat. So then we're going to get into some of the solo stuff here. So Diamond Dave, Crazy from the Heat. And then there he was with his clean cut look. Everybody was like, what? What the heck? Crazy from the Heat was a great book. I don't know if anybody's ever read that. Probably has, but that's an excellent book as well. I highly recommend it. Dave's really entertaining as an author. Got Eat 'Em and Smile. The debut of Steve Vai with the David Lee Roth Band. There's the boys, Billy and Greg, Dave, and then some naked Native lady dancing. Thought that was David Lee Roth at first when I first saw that, but you can tell there's certain attributes on that picture that Dave does not possess. So, wish I had that record when I was 16. Cool, then we got Skyscraper. This one's probably a little bit hard to find, truthfully. I thought Skyscraper was cool. It was experimental. Wasn't as good as Eat 'Em and Smile from as far as a rock record is concerned, but I liked it because I'm a Steve Vai fan, and Steve Vai produced the record. And I think it really showcased where Vai was going with his career. So I dig it, man. Songs like Hina, damn good. Knuckle Bones, the first song, whew, good one. All right, guess what? We're gonna jump into Sammy Hagar land. There's Sammy Hagar. That's a good one. And then we got Red Rocker's got his red vinyl cover on the inside. It's not red vinyl, but it's got the red. It's got this red, whatever they call it, sleeve. We got, I don't have all the Sammy records. We got VOA. Had to have VOA. I can't drive 55. Sammy Hagar, Danger Zone. Cool. What else we got in here? I think this one, no, that one doesn't open up. That one's not a fold out. That one's got lyrics. Got a picture of Sammy. That's some awesome hair, man. That's a great album. I like how people would write their names on records, because they'd go to parties and they'd bring their albums and they would have to claim whose records were whose. Look at this one. That's a good one. That Sammy album. It's got red on this. Interesting. Let's see what this, do I have a sleeve with this? I do have a sleeve with this one, I'll be darned. He had the red, he was always the red rocker. He had the red sleeve on this one too. So he was marketing himself. Cool. Hagar, Schoen, Aronson, and Shreve. Haas, Through the Fire. I don't think I've ever listened to this record. I had intentions of listening to it, and I didn't. I don't know why, but I didn't. Chickenfoot. That's probably a rare one right there. I bought this at Media Play. Anybody remember Media Play when they were out? This is a double fold out. This Chickenfoot. I've even got a Chickenfoot CD that changes color in the sunlight. I like Chickenfoot. I thought Chickenfoot was a good band. It's nice to hear Joe Satriani play in the context of a band with a vocalist. This is some thick 180 gram vinyl. These things are as thick as Frisbees. 180 gram stuff is high quality. Sound like I'm talking about drugs, which I don't know anything about, but that's what it sounds like to me. Cool, Chickenfoot. All right. We're getting there, man. I ought to speed up. Oh, there's another Sammy Hagar record. That's a classic. Cool. And Sammy had a lot of records. This was loaned for promotional use only. It says WALF, which means that was a radio station's record. One more Sammy Hagar. All Night Long. I think that's a live record. Yeah, must be. Some of these I haven't listened to. I gotta admit, I bought them and didn't listen to them. All right, we got Steve Vai, Flexible. This one is kind of a. This one I'm sure is, well, they probably have it in print now where you can get it, but this was one of the original ones, so that one will be kind of rare. I actually have that eyeball, the Steve Vai eyeball tattooed on my forearm. Had it for over 20 years. So, there you go. And I got Not of This Earth, Joe Satriani. That's a cool record. I don't know if I can get into this one easily. I really can't. It's kind of sealed up. A cool album cover there, Not of This Earth. All right. Hey, we got Surfing with the Alien coming up next. Got Surfing. That's cool. This thing's sealed up pretty tight. Look at the back. I don't know, man. That might be a rare bird too. Never was a huge Maiden fan, but I love this album. I like Iron Maiden, but I liked more. Back in those days, I was more into the poppy, metal. Here we go. This was kind of my stuff. Night Songs. Cinderella. Then we got Long Cold Winter. Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone. Great song. Gypsy Road. Bad Seamstress Blues. Oh, I love how that starts off. Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet. I can barely listen to Bon Jovi stuff anymore. I played in the Bon Jovi tribute band, Slippery When Wet, out of Atlanta for years. Started that band with Jason, and I played enough Bon Jovi to make myself sick of it. There's Guns N' Roses. That was a reprint. That was a gift, but it came with the band cover stuff on the sleeve. That picture that you couldn't really. That was supposed to be their album cover. For obvious reason, we know why they didn't put that on there. Probably a good idea in hindsight. Whitesnake. If you're watching this channel and you're not a John Sykes fan, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, man. But that is killer stuff. Racer X. Street Lethal with Paul Gilbert. That's got to be a rare bird. That one's got to be rare. Cool. What else we got? Oh, we're in Crue territory. Motley Crue. Coolness. Some of these are sealed with the plastic wrapping, and I just can't get into them quick enough. Shout at the Devil. This one I think's a gatefold. Yeah, it is. Look at that right there, man. See if you can take that in. Drink that in. Drink that in. I don't know if the glare is killing you on this, but that would have been that's an expensive album to put out. That was some budget in that, man. If you can get a gatefold, and get all this, that's good budget. All right. Killer album cover, not a great record. Gonna make a lot of people angry, but most Motley Crue records, except for maybe the first record, or Shout at the Devil, usually only had about 1 or 2 really good songs on them, up until Feel Good. Case in point, Girls, 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 Wild Side is probably my favorite Motley song, and that's on this album, and Girls, Girls, Girls. Other than that, this album was kind of a throwaway, but it's a fantastic concept and great music videos. The 80s created our icons with MTV. Feel Good. This always reminded me of Garage Days Revisited by Metallica. That picture, kind of that fisheye lens, them in a bathroom or whatever. Cool, what do we got now? Helix. I love Helix, No Rest for the Wicked. Helix has had about 30 guys in their band over the years. They're from Canada. They weren't really that popular, maybe in limited markets, but No Rest for the Wicked is a great record. It's produced awesome. Lots of reverb on it, but If you've never heard No Rest for the Wicked, for the guitar alone, check it out, but the songs are great. Walking the Razor's Edge was kind of their breakthrough because it had Rock You on it, but this album isn't that great. It's okay. No Rest for the Wicked is the album. Long Way to Heaven by Helix. They kind of look like Striper on that cover a little bit with this heavenly look, even though they're not black and yellow. Twisted, Under the Blade. I saw Twisted Sister on the Stay Hungry tour back in 1984 or 85. That was my first concert ever in upstate New York, and it changed my life forever. And that's what made me decide I wanted to be a musician. In the mid-'80s, I don't think there was a better band live than these guys. No joke. Twisted Sister, that Stay Hungry album and tour was fantastic. That's a great Priest record. Screaming for Vengeance. Cool. Priest. Lita. I went to a party last Saturday night. I look at her and I think Kelly Bundy. But Kelly Bundy was always so much better looking than Lita. I think Lita looks better now than she ever has. I never thought Lita Ford was like this hot goddess like everybody said she was. I hate to say that. I'm not trying to sound, a certain way, but now she looked great there. Lita Ford dancing on the edge. Kind of Runaways looking on that. I think they just glammed her up too much in that, when she went on her own in the 80s. Ratt. Yeah, man. Killer stuff. How much do you think they paid that model for that? $20 and some Coke, maybe? All right, Out of the Cellar. Ratt, they're a great band. I love this album cover. That was another great thing about records is you could listen to these albums like You're in Love and just look at that album cover and think, I wonder what she's doing tonight. And then you're like 13 and have no life. One of the best Def Leppard records ever, On Through the Night. Steamin' Steve Clark laying down some serious riffage. And of course, you got to follow that up with High and Dry. Saturday Night. Rock of Ages. Pyromania. Man, it brings back so many memories thinking about going to carnivals and hearing this stuff played throughout the carnivals and hanging out with your friends and buying cotton candy and cruising the streets at night. Hysteria. That was my senior year. You couldn't go anywhere that year without hearing Pour Some Sugar on Me at least 20 times a day. I was so sick of that album, but I revisited it later, and that album, real quick, this taught me how to produce guitars. Mutt Lange is a genius. And then, went into listening to a lot of Bryan Adams stuff, back to the AC/DC stuff he produced. And then the Shania Twain, it's fantastic. Blizzard of Oz, everyone's got to have that in their metal collection, right? Ozzy. All right. And we got Diary. Got a Diary if you got Blizzard, right? And there's got that cool back there. Wonder what this looks like. All right, check that out. That's kind of a photo you don't see all the time. A Diary of a Madman sleeve photo. Cool. Hope y'all are liking this, Bark at the Moon. Bark at the Moon. Ozzy sure went in for that image, man. He was bought in. Great album cover on The Ultimate Sin. You know it. If you're a guy watching this channel, you know you stared at that girl's butt a lot, and you are right now. Ozzy said he didn't like the way this album was produced, but I think it's produced pretty good. It's poppy sounding, but it is what it is. Enter Zach Wild. I'm looking for a miracle man. I read an interview with Ozzy after that album came out, and he said that Zach was just jamming on that riff, and Ozzy was trying to come up with lyrics. And his first line for that song, he said, was, "I'm looking for a miracle man to get me some chips." So that's what they sang on that for the longest time in rehearsals. So every time I hear Miracle Man, to this day, I think of him singing "To Get Me Some Chips." And sometimes I'll even sing that, because I think it's funny. Ozzy was a pretty down-to-earth dude. A lot of image. This is a classic, man. This is a kind of a rare record, I do believe, the tribute album. I don't think the Ozzy albums really captured Randy's tone very well. My complaint about Randy Rhoads' albums with Ozzy was they were poorly or cheaply produced, or there was a lot of drugs going on or something. And this record really showcases Randy's screaming tone with that Les Paul and his Marshalls. This album really shows off just how vicious Randy Rhoads was on guitar. Warrant, totally like going to like lame guitar parts. I liked Warrant, but you know, it was pretty bubblegum, and they didn't do their guitar parts on the album, so that dude taught them how to play their guitar parts. There's nothing wrong with that. They put out records, right? And sold millions, probably. Poison. First Poison record. This album is produced terrible. If you ever listen to CC's guitar on this album, if you ever torture yourself, I mean, it sounds like he plugged his like he put some bumblebees in an empty can of tomato soup and plugged his guitar into the can of tomato soup with bumblebees in it, and that was his amp. Tesla, I love Tesla. Saw Tesla open for David Lee Roth on the Eat 'Em and Smile tour. For this tour actually, Mechanical Resonance. That's cover to cover a great album. All right, so here is Scorpions. Love Drive. This is a controversial cover. It's actually got nudity on it. Demonetized. I can see it happening. Then we got Love It for Sting. Scorpions got away with a lot of sexual stuff on their covers. Maybe because they were in Germany, and a lot of that stuff was, maybe they're a little bit more liberal in Europe. I don't know. I've never been to Germany. I just assuming that maybe they're not so uptight as some of these people are in the United States about stuff that doesn't really matter. Scorpions, Worldwide Live. I love this album. One thing that's funny about this record is, like every other song, Klaus goes, "We got a new song for you off the new album, Love It for Sting," because he can barely speak English. But there's like 6 or 7 cuts on this album where he's like, "We got a new song for you off the album, Love It for Sting. It's called Big City Nights." But this is a great record. I don't know if this was really, truly live, or if they edited some of this stuff, but it sounds live to me. I mean, you can hear them making noise in the background, and I love Matthias, one of my favorite guitar players. I love Kiss. I was a big Kiss fan, but I don't have a lot of Kiss records. But this is my favorite Kiss record. I think that one's unbeatable. Quite frankly, I think a lot of Kiss records are produced poorly, and they had 1 or 2 good songs on each one after the first couple records, and then they just weren't really that great as far as albums. But that's just me. Of course, Kiss Alive. Speaking of albums that really weren't live, this was one of them, but a totally fantastic record. My first introduction to Kiss were these albums, the solo records. I won't spend a lot of time on these because everybody knows what solo records were. In case you're wondering, the best solo record was this one. Ace Frehley was the best solo record, still is. My cover band that does metal stuff, I sing Rip It Out. I've got a version of me doing New York Groove on the channel if y'all want to check that out. I sing it. Gene was my favorite back in the day because I thought he was cool, but this album was really weird. I've got duplicates of some of these. Peter Criss's album got panned the most because it didn't sound like Kiss. It was like rhythm and blues and country. And I was a big Ace Frehley fan. Obviously, I loved Ace. He was one of my biggest icons. Ace Frehley, Jimmy Page, and Eddie Van Halen, and the Beatles are my top 4 influences probably of all time for guitar and rock and roll. Although Twisted Sister really got it going for me. I should say Kiss really did. Kiss Meets the Phantom. Excuse me. I saw that on TV. And Gene Simmons kind of sold me on it. Vito Bratta and White Lion. Wait. I heard Vito Bratta is a real estate agent. But I also heard that his wrist has major problems and he can't play. So he's either, that's an Ace Frehley. This record I had when I was 8 years old. Anyway, I forget what I was saying about Vito. But Kiss Alive 2. Yeah, this has got all the goodies in it. Got the poster and stuff. Let's look at this. I think that's the poster. Is that the booklet? Let me see here. The Evolution of Kiss. Gene and Paul. There's the boys. All of them together. Shock me. Peter Criss. Cool. It's got like 4 years, Evolution of Kiss, typed up in there. Who would have thought back in those days that Kiss in some shape or form would still be touring to this day? And then Kiss Destroyer. Isn't, whatchamacallit, Detroit? Yeah, Detroit Rock City's on this. That's why I love Detroit. So anyway, that is section 1 of my metal and hard rock section of my collection. If you like this video, please subscribe, please like, comment below. If you collect records or if you have any comments on any of these records, please tell me. This is just an experiment to see if you guys want to take a look at my vinyl collection and hang out with me tonight at the house and just talk about rock and roll and have a little chit chat. So thanks for watching. Have a great night or a great day, whatever time zone you're in, and I'll talk to you next time. See ya.